Hello and welcome to the Simplify Consulting LinkedIn Hints and Tips. So this session is really about helping our associates use LinkedIn much more effectively. So what we want to be able to do is help you be more visible to potential employers and connections, particularly if you're looking for your next engagement. We want to share some of the insights that we found, particularly from a resourcing and a recruitment perspective, and how that ties in with what you share on your LinkedIn profile. So let's make a start. First up is your actual profile. So this is your profile summary. So this is mine. I'm Yang Hughes, and I'll be taking you through the session today. So as you can see, I've got on my headline business support, change and transformation, and wealth consultancy. And it tells you a little bit more than just having my job title in there. So I'd really encourage you to think about separating the job title to what you put on your headline, because that's really about showing others what you can do. So from your profiles, the first thing that you can do is to show people they're open for opportunities. So I'm going to take you through those screens. So as you can see here, from a get started perspective, once you click on that, it will take you through a series of pages. So you can actually tell LinkedIn what kind of work that you're open to. So I've put a couple on here for the typical roles that we would recruit for and the locations. You can see from a location, you can do more than one. So if you're not restricted to where you live or a particular town or city that you generally work in, you can put others. So for example, I've selected London, Edinburgh, but actually you can do the UK if travel is not a problem for you. And then there's start date and full time. So you can really sort of tell the potential recruiters out there what kind of thing you're looking for. So with LinkedIn, it's very clever in the fact that it can share that you're open to opportunities in two ways. You can either do that to recruiters only. So they'll take steps to make sure that your current company that you're attached to and working for doesn't know that you're open to new jobs. But like they said, they can't guarantee complete privacy. Also, the second option is to share with all LinkedIn members, and they've changed it now. So where you've got a badge, like a green badge across your profile picture. So at a quick glance now, anyone that looks on LinkedIn sees that badge, knows that you're open to work. So it saves you having to write on your profile available or open to opportunities. So like I said, profile summary, absolutely key to providing searchers a chance to understand your skill set, experience and industry knowledge at a quick glance. So we will tie that in with the next few pages. So what I'm going to share with you now are some screenshots from the recruiter version of LinkedIn that we use. And what it shows you is how we look and search, so you understand how it works and how your profile seems. So we're actually using screenshots because using the actual system, obviously there'll be names and people exposed on there. So we didn't want to share that with you. So we're going to use screenshots for today. So first up is a job title. So we saw a little bit of that on the profile itself. The key thing about job titles is we would ask you to select and use the most common titles. If you're using consultant or director, then it can really restrict our view. You can have more than one role at the same time, so you can still be director of your own company, but actually putting what you actually do attached to whatever engagement is that you're doing. And then the reason for that is when I search for an individual and a potential candidate, actually, I'm not looking for a director. I'm looking for someone that is a business analyst, for example. So putting in the criteria, it will match to what you put in your profile. I'd really encourage you as well to review both current and past job titles. So some company job titles can be weird, wonderful, and actually tells us nothing about what you actually do. So review your past and current roles and make sure that those job titles really explain what it is that you do. Industries. So for industries, it's just a little care here really about making sure you select the right one that really matches what you do and the kind of industries you work for. So I'll give you an example. Under HSBC, you could select financial services, nice and broad, but it could be that you work within banking. So it's really about sort of honing that down and selecting the right one that's appropriate to your experience. We're going to look at additional criteria now. So there's a few other criteria that we would plug in to be able to find our perfect pool of potential candidates. So the first thing is companies. And with companies, there's a couple of things I want to cover here really. The first thing is about when you select the roles and the companies you've worked for. So when you do that, it'll have a self-select option. And we want you to make sure that you select a companies that's the official company page, and you'll know that because it'll have a logo attached. If it's greyed out, that means it's been created by someone else or you've had to create it. And as much as that's fine, what it restricts on you is being attached to that company. So you can see here the person that I've selected. Under Barclaycard, we've got the greyed out box, so it's not the official site. And under the HSBC, it's got the logo. And how that impacts is two ways really. One is that because you're not connected to an official company page, sometimes there are reasons when I would look for candidates that have worked for a specific company in the past. And that might be because they have worked on a project within that company or used the software and systems, and I need their expertise because they've worked for that particular company. So I'll go via the company pages. And if you're not attached to that official company page, then I might not find you. Next is employment type. Again, we touched on it on the profile. And we've spoken to quite a lot of people where actually they've been open to all kinds of work. So we've spoken to a lot of candidates that are predominantly contract, but actually would consider full-time and part-time work from a permanent perspective. So you can select more than one on your profile, and I will go through for my search selection contract, full-time, part-time, just to give me a view of who's out there. So if you are open to it, select more than one. The next one is on location. So how we search is using parameters and the distance. So normally we'd put in the key main site's postcode and look within a specific area, so 50 miles, for example, and that will show us all of those candidates within those parameters and that distance. How that links in to your profile is we would always ask you to make sure you select a city or a specific place to attach to your profile. That might be where you live. It might be the main city that you work. So it could be Portsmouth, Southampton, London, etc. And with using the UK, because it's so broad, actually it restricts us from being able to find you. So just really consider that when you're putting that in. So as you can see here, the tip is by completing your details and preferences on your LinkedIn profile, what that does is that gives me more opportunities to be able to find your profile in my search results because I'm putting in specific criteria. So next section is on skills and keywords. Now, if I can impart any tip that's going to help you, it will be this. It's really, really important that you focus and put in the work around the skills that you put into your LinkedIn profile and the keywords. So with skills on your LinkedIn profile, you can actually add up to 50. So you can select all those that apply to your skill set, and I'll show you what it looks like from your profile point of view. So this is an individual skills and endorsements. So I've put in my search parameters the word or the skill rather for agile. So it's come up agile methodologies, agile testing, and the number next to it is the amount of endorsements they've had. Be really aware of some of the soft skills that you might select as a skill. Particularly if your role is technical. So with the recruitment that we do within our wealth consultancy is very much about technical specialists. So I'm looking for someone that's got agile skills that might be able to test them, might know the methodologies. I'm not actually looking for someone that can do presentations, for example. And then the next bit is the keywords. So when we put into our LinkedIn Recruiter keywords, we use Boolean, and we're able to pick certain words that we absolutely want within our search criteria or would like to have in there. And the system will then select the appropriate candidates. So because I'm looking for someone that's got agile, digital, or data migration, LinkedIn's going to search through your profile to be able to find that. So really consider throughout your profile and your work experience the kind of words that you're putting in there so that it will help us find you. So for example, if you've worked within the sort of pensions arena, we might put in pension, SIP, annuity, retirement, different variations of the word to be able to find the expertise in there. And all the filters are based on matches. So the more matches based on these keywords, the higher up on that list of potential candidates that will be given to me. So really put in some of that detail within your profile and some of those keywords and capabilities and industries and products that you're familiar with and you work with that will allow us to find you. So once you've done that, what it's going to do is it's going to really show us that you're able to potentially do this role. So put in those skills to really reflect your capabilities and specialties. Make sure those keywords are in there so they're searchable, because the next slide is showing you then the results of that search. So this is what we will see. So all of that search criteria is dumped into the LinkedIn system, and it will provide a summary of results. So there's thousands of people within LinkedIn. Some have active accounts, some not so much, and completely dormant, unused, people have forgotten the passwords, all those kind of things. So Recruiter will actually give us two buckets. So the first bucket is open to opportunities. So based on my list of business analysts that have agile skills and all those things, and then that London postcode that I put in, there's actually 537 business analysts, lead business analysts and senior business analysts on LinkedIn that will have some kind of match to my search criteria. Now that bucket of open to opportunities is where you've selected, like we talked about right at the beginning of this session, and you've made yourself open to opportunities. So that's the first list that we would actually look at. There is a secondary list, and that is the more likely to respond. So that bucket, 680, as you can see there, and that is where they've not necessarily put themselves open to opportunities. What they've done is it's the people that regularly respond, use LinkedIn, use the messages and interact on LinkedIn. So it can tell that the people within that bucket are likely to respond to you. So that's how we would look at it. So you can see that even with 537 right now, very unlikely for me to go into the likely to respond list. And if anything, I might trim that criteria down to give me a smaller pool so that I can contact 50 to 100 people for potential roles. So this is what you'll see on the profile display. So because I've put in the search criteria, it actually highlights within that person's profile. So this is what I see. So I've got here somebody that is business analyst, it's picked up agile, it's picked up digital. So I don't necessarily read all of the detail within a person's summary because I might be flicking through, well, unlikely 537, but a good 50 to 100 per role that I will have a look at. And for me, it's going to be the keywords that stand out. And then if there's sufficient keywords in there, I might look into a bit more detail and then contact the individual via email to see whether they're open to a discussion. So this is, again, is why it's really important to describe those areas of expertise throughout your profile against each role that's held. Because if I just see lead agile business analyst and nothing else, I don't know what areas and what your specialisms are to be able to interrogate that, and more likely to speak to someone else because they've got that detail in their LinkedIn profile. So that shows you how your effort in really refining your profile will make you visible to recruiters. So our search criteria will be able to whittle that down to a manageable level of candidates, because there are thousands of people on LinkedIn. So I hope that's really helped with regards to understanding how the detail you put into your LinkedIn profile will correlate to how we search from the other side. As an aside, I do want to share with you one more thing, and that is around recommendations. So it's really around credibility, and for us to be able to see that you've had great feedback from your peers, bosses, stakeholders. So it's another element of a profile that we like to have a look at, because like I said, it's really about sort of showcasing that you work really well on some great projects and with the people that have recommended you and taken the time to recommend for you. So where possible, we really encourage you to get those recommendations. Not always easy, you can request. So one of the tips I would say is, if you're requesting a LinkedIn connection for a recommendation, you can always offer to write one in kind. That works really well. Also, I know that a lot of people will struggle to write. They want to write a recommendation for you, but a little bit stuck on what to say. So help them out. Provide some, we worked on this project. Could you talk about how we overcame this particular problem, how well we worked together here, and help them be able to write a really good recommendation for you. So that's the end of our session and brings us to a close. But in summary, my 3 tips that have come out of this session that I'd really like you to think about is keywords throughout your profile. Secondly, use words and terms and language that is searchable and will be recognised by someone that's looking for your skills. And thirdly, give us enough detail within your profile so that we want to contact you and want to find out more. Thank you for your time, and I hope you use these tips to find your next great opportunity.